Do you know what the end of a story is called?
I do not.
When everything is reaching its most important moment, when everything is becoming what the story has led to.
The climax?
Close. There's another word for it, and it's one of my favorite words in the English language.
Hmm.
Technically, it's French, but it just conveys the drama of the situation. The hero clashing with the ancient evil that wishes to take over the world. The denouement.
But this is
I love that word.
This is some of my favorite dialogue because...
So we're gonna read it out?
Yep. My country lay within a vast desert. When the sun rose into the sky, a burning wind punished my lands, searing the world. And when the moon climbed into the dark of the night, a frigid gale pierced our homes. No matter when it came, the wind carried the same thing. Death. But the winds that blew across the green fields of Hyrule brought something other than suffering and ruin. I coveted that wind, I suppose. It can only be called fate. That here, I would again gather the three with the crests. That I should lay my hand on that which grants me the wishes of the beholder. That when power, wisdom, and courage come together, the gods would have no choice but to come down. The power of the gods, the Triforce, he who touches it will have whatever he desires granted. Already the crest of wisdom is mine. All that remains. Again with the punching, but that was terrifyingly close.
Yeah.
But it gives him character. He's just not some insane creature that wants to destroy everything. Yeah. Do not fear. I will not kill you. I merely have need of the power that dwells within you. Now, let us put an end to that which binds us together.
I have something I want to point out when we get to a good stopping point. Or a good point to mention it when we're not in a dramatic cutscene. I just want to say that so that way you and I both remember.
Fair. But it gives him a real thing to empathize with him. He's still the antagonist, but now you empathize why he wants the Triforce. Where he lived sucked. It was a nightmare, day in and day out. Gods, hear that which I desire. Expose this land to the rays of the sun once more. Let them burn forth. Give Hyrule to me. He who touches it will have whatever he desires granted. That is what you said, is it not, Ganondorf? Gods of the Triforce, hear that which I desire. Hope. I desire hope for these children. Give them a future. Wash away this ancient land of Hyrule. Let a ray of hope shine on the future of the world.
I love how Ganondorf's so shocked, he just kind of stands there, arm outstretched, like...
And let our destinies finally be fulfilled. Ganondorf, may you drown with Hyrule. Like, wouldn't you?
He's just like...
Centuries, probably a millennia at this point, have passed. And he almost had it.
And at the very last second, some asshole took it from him.
To the point where he just laughs.
He's
snapped.
Yeah. I'd snap too. So would you.
Anyone would. It makes him a relatable villain, which I think is important in stories.
A relatable villain honestly makes a series.
This is foolishness. A future for you. What are you laughing at, Ganondorf? You're insane. I'm sorry, I overslept.
I love how well that fits.
I totally forgot I did that. I think it's time for us to say goodbye to this place. We must return to the world above. Back to our ocean. Very well then. Allow me to show you your future. Yes, allow me to show you just what hope you have. See how much your precious Triforce is worth.
He's gone to thinking it is the most valuable thing in his life to something useless.
Yep.
Okay, so...
I'll use this bow to cover you. Attack him as best you can.
Did she take your bow?
She did.
Oh.
Which is fine.
But what I wanted to point out is Ganondorf lives in a place so alien that Link probably can't comprehend it. Ganondorf lives in an area with no water. He lives in a desert, the literal opposite of the world that Link is from. That'd be like if someone came from a world without gravity to us.
Right. Like
we couldn't comprehend how different life would be.
Like being told, yeah, I'm from a desert.
It's like, the fuck's a desert?
Of course Link's not going to know what that is. But...
It's just such an area so alien to him that Ganondorf is almost Cthulhu in his existence. He's from a world which he could not comprehend. A world he cannot understand. It's fascinating.
Whoop. He just low-kicked me. He just pulled a Mankey.
I always associate that move with Machop. Like, yeah, fuck you. Stop shooting me.
He doesn't straight up murder her, though. He just backhands her. Backhands her?
Backsands
Backsands her. Wrong game.
Wrong game?
Yep. Getting the parry to work in this fight, too, can be such a bitch.
And it's required
Yeah.
to deal damage in this phase.
Yep, because it's very easy to miss.
But I just realized that while Ganondorf was talking. He was describing an area that we would never see in this game, that we couldn't see in this game, that couldn't exist in the world that Link inhabits. I just realized how interesting that is.
It's something I never thought about until now because of you. I appreciate that.
Well, like, he was talking about it, I'm like, man, what was the desert area in this game again? And I was thinking, I'm like, there was no desert area. There was no sand rod, there was no ability for a sand rod, it was just water. So now... Oh, I get what you have to do.
You have to distract him.
I just figured it out as...
Are you ready?
Oh, so that's what they want you to do. I thought it would be different.
Nope.
I thought it would be,
And then you straight up murder him.
Fuck.
It's not like other games where you steal him. No.
Seal.
I said seal.
You said steal.
Well, yeah.
Technically, you just stealed him.
Yeah. But you straight up murder him. It's not like you're stealing him in the sacred realm and the wind it is blowing. Referencing, the wind of his homeland. The wind that carries death. But you just straight up murder him. You stick a sword down his skull. What I'm assuming isn't partially into his spine.
Yeah.
The fact that he spoke those words is insane.
In part because he's like a nigh-immortal creature.
Yep.
He really can't be killed. He can only be sealed.
Exactly.
Which is why he's now made out of stone.
It's why
because otherwise...
It's why Zelda and Link are reincarnated every time. Sure, they can be killed, but they can't be killed because their souls are immortal.
Yeah.
Due to a curse a god placed on all of them. They're to repeat this ad infinitum.
If only they could. It's almost scary in its own way.
I have lived bound
very
to
fatalistic.
Hyrule. In that sense, I was the same as Ganondorf. But you, I want you to live for the future. There may be nothing left for you, but despite that, you must look forward and walk a path of hope, trusting that it will sustain you when darkness comes. farewell. This is the only world that your ancestors were able to leave you. Please, forgive us.
This is a powerful ending.
But wait, you could come with us. Yes, of course, we have a ship. We can find it. We will find it. The land that will be the next Hyrule. So... but that child, that land will not be Hyrule. It will be your land.
This land is your land.
Which...
This land is mine.
It's really fucked up because, you know, you get the spirit tracks and then you're back to a kingdom that's almost exactly like Hyrule with trains.
Despite, I honestly think that Spirit Tracks does one thing perfectly well that no other Zelda game has done, though. Phantom Zelda.
It's a cool mechanic, but I just never got that far in the game to really utilize it.
It was one of my favorite things in the game.
I really do need to finish playing it.
The only reason why I will never cement that it's a terrible game, I will joke that it's a bad game. I will, but I will never truly believe that it's a bad game just because of Phantom Zelda.
It's nice to have Zelda along with you and be useful.
Mm-hmm.
I have scattered the seeds of the future. Which out of context would sound very pornographic. I'm just gonna put that one out there.
You're receiving a call?
Yep, it's not important. I am sorry about that, folks.
It's his folks.
It is.
Uh-oh. This seems like a very bad place to teleport our heroes to.
It works out.
Okay.
See? And then Zelda is back to being Tetra with her normal skin tone. Because magic.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Although...
And then Link gets to go home.
This makes me want to go to our local game store and get Phantom Hourglass. So I did enjoy that one. I at least...
You owned my Phantom Hourglass, didn't you?
Owned yours?
Yeah. I gave it to you.
Oh, I sold
Like,
it then.
to own.
Yeah.
Because I was going to sell it myself, and you're like, I've never played that one. I'm like, oh, well, here you go.
And it was fun. Like, I definitely enjoyed the ship customization.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was just fun.
Yeah.
It upsets me that they made the ghost ship such a heavy plot element when it wasn't necessary. Just because of its part in this game. But that's just a small complaint.
Can I point out something that Link gets to do right now that Sophie heroes get to do?
Have a happy ending?
No. He gets to go home.
That's a good point.
That's a major point in most stories that the hero can't go home.
He gets to.
I had one of the most famous books ever on storytelling and stories themselves, The Hero with 1,000 Faces, has a chapter dedicated to the fact that heroes don't get to go home.
This one
and
does.
Link gets to go home.
Until his next adventure.
This one will be dead by then. Be a different Link. Reincarnation and all.
Not for Phantom Hourglass. That's the same Link.
No.
Yes, it is.
Really?
Yes, because you're with Tetra. That's why the ghost ship is such a heavy plot element. Phantom Hourglass is one of those rare cases where you have a direct sequel to a Zelda game.
Okay. I'll assume you're right then, because I don't remember the plot of Phantom Hourglass. Because I actually found it really boring.
Tetra gets kidnapped by the Phantom ship, you chase after it, and you end up in a really weird world. Catch the ghost ship, make the Phantom sword, and then you kill the evil thing that's in that ocean, and then you go back to your own.
Right.
And then Spirit Tracks is technically a direct sequel to Phantom Hourglass, but it's a direct sequel in the sense that A Link Between Worlds was a direct sequel to...
It uses a lot of the same assets and a lot of the same elements.
I meant in a time sense. Same universe, but there's a couple centuries in between.
Right. Chunk of time.
They're no longer the same characters.
Right.
They're the same characters, but they're not the same characters.
Because reincarnation... So, since you played the game...
Since I played the game.
Why don't you tell us what you thought? Why don't you just sit down and explain how it was playing the game for the channel, how it was sharing it with me.
I hope you enjoyed the experience wholeheartedly since you never actually beat the game. even though, unfortunately, we didn't read a lot of the dialogue until the end. But the end dialogue, to me, is the most important. Just because of how amazing it finally characterizes Ganon as someone who's not just an insane, destructive psychopath.
Evil for the sake of having a villain.
Yes. Because that's just what it's been in Zelda games. You know, it's just been like, I want to take over everything because I'm evil and technically the god of destruction. Here, it's like, I envied something. I envied people not suffering like me, and I want that. I don't want to share it, I just straight up want it because it's unfair. Which I think is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Playing it for the channel was fun. And it was fun to sit down and discuss it with you because it made me critically analyze it more than I normally would have just playing it on my own. You know, small nitpicks that, you know, are able to look at, but overall having a fun experience.
Yeah. And as someone who... this is one of the games I'm very familiar with the first hour of. I have a few games like that where I never really got out of the first area. I'm very familiar with the first dungeon, up until you get about... You're fighting the boss that uses the boomerang, because I couldn't do that with... Because I had it set up so I had to use the 6-axis controls to do that, and it was like, and that just didn't work. It didn't. It was a terrible decision, and I didn't realize that I was supposed to turn it off to actually play the game well. And so I was doing that, and...
It killed the experience.
Yeah, and so I never got too far. So seeing how interesting some of the bosses got. The Poe boss, I really liked. The Ganon puppet, but that one's just because we just recently did it. That one, I remember that very well. The dungeon where you got the hook shot, I remember... Not hook shot, the claw shot, the...
Grappling hook?
Grappling hook.
The first dungeon.
That dungeon was... Like, I remember that very well, and it's still one of my favorite dungeons in video games. There's something about, like, the lava and how it is.
Having a fire dungeon as your first dungeon?
Yeah.
Instead of a forest dungeon?
Yeah, there's something unique to it. And just... This game is very memorable, and I very much so enjoyed playing it. I didn't play it. I enjoyed watching you play it, especially because you knew what you were doing. We were going through it, not at the pace I'd go through, where as much shit as I gave John in this, as much shit as I did, if I was the one playing, I don't think we'd be out of...
We'd have another 30 episodes to go.
I think we'd still be in, we'd still be in the Forsaken Fortress. We'd be, like, on the second time of the Forsaken Fortress here, because I wouldn't know what I was doing. I'd be guessing. And there's a funness to that, but there's also someone who really knows and loves the game showing it off.
And the first time I played Wind Waker on the GameCube, it wasn't as much fun to me because there was so much waiting in between areas just because of how long the load times had to be with sailing. And that doesn't exist in this one. With the speed of the speed sail, it becomes an appropriate amount of waiting to me.
It has the sense of exploration.
Especially...
Well, at the same time.
On my own playthroughs, it felt good to start from the very bottom corner of the map and then just make a giant square to get all the map pieces filled in. It felt good. When I did it on the GameCube version, it felt tedious and frustrating.
And the credits are over.
They are.
And we have one final scene.
And we're back home. To take off again. Because he's able to have closure with his family. The King of Red Lions is no longer...
It's now just about...
It's no longer sentient. So, now Link and Zelda are going to go on their quest to find...
And although they're worried as a man becoming himself as compared to, oh God, someone is going to die who's close to us.
My granddaughter
He got to go
kidnapped.
home.
Yep.
He got to see what it was like there.
He got to go home for closure, and now they're going on their next adventure. Which is, it's technically Phantom Hourglass.
But that's not what they're hinting at here.
No.
They didn't know what they were going to do next here.
It was supposed to say, hey, we're going to see if we can't find a giant landmass, a continent that isn't just a bunch of islands.
Mm-hmm.
And with Spirit Tracks, that's true. Because an entire ocean is just not going to go away in 2 centuries. And they gave Ariel a pirate dress. Because clothing. Although I don't know why Link's on his own sailboat, honestly.
Because he's so used to it and he likes it.
Fair. The end.
How lovely. This is a long episode. It is 20 minutes.
Yeah, but it was long because of the credits, not because it took the boss long.
And yet, I'm still entertained.
The game will save and make a file for a second quest.
Yes.
Yep.
This was... You can see exactly how far I got. That says Tower of the Gods. That's where I was. And it shows you when I last played. This was an experience. An experience I'm glad to have.
Yep. And now you can play through as Pajama Link.
Thank you for joining us on this trip.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
And we can't wait for the new series.
We already know what it is, and I hope you love it just as much as I will. Because I'll be the one with the controller. I'll be the one who will get mocked.
Yep.
I'm bad at video games. But thank you. Thank you so, so much.